Alexa, play the Champions League anthem.
Oh, for fuck's sake.
And welcome to Season 4 of the Miles Offside podcast, where we talk a little bit of football and a whole lot of nonsense. My name is Oscar Puente, also known as Footy From Afar, and with me, as always, are my co-hosts, Mr. Iron Man himself, Chuck Bailey, and super producer Ian Stimpson. Chuck, how you like the new nickname?
Why do I am Mr. Iron Man? I'm not a billionaire, playboy, or a philanthropist.
No,
I'm not any of those things.
That's a reference to famous baseball player Cal Ripken, who was just never out, always in. So Mr. 100%, Mr. Iron Man. That's you, buddy.
Oh, but I missed an episode, so...
Well, you missed one episode, but you were here after your kid was born. You just got your second COVID shot yesterday, and you turned up for this.
Yeah, it's a pretty strong record.
It's catchier than Mr. 99.3%.
I know. I suppose at some point you have to round up, even though it will never approach the limit. Season 4, The Revenge? Question mark? Isn't that Jaws 4? That's how it worked, didn't it? We're going after family members now.
Oh, if we're going to be anything like Jaws 4, then we might as well just quit now. just give it up before the season starts.
Bye.
How's your summer been, boys? Ian, how's your summer going?
It's been a roller coaster of emotion. The Euros were surprisingly amazing.
It was so good, wasn't it?
It was so good, wasn't it?
I wasn't even going to bring it up for you guys, but okay, let's talk about the Euros. Let's talk about England. Talk to me about penalty kicks. Talk to me about all of it.
We're not depressed about it. We're honestly not depressed about it. Never expected to get that far. I was surprised how quickly I became philosophically happy with it. Like it was only a couple of days, and I was like, well, maybe not even. And I was like, Italy should have won the game. Italy should have won the tournament. Perfectly happy with it. England got so far and gave me a summer I didn't think they would. So I'm perfectly happy with it. There's no negativity here.
What is this? This is not what I'm here for. Chuck, come on, give me the negativity. Chuck's going to be angry about something.
Nope. Literally, next day I was like, well, that was the thing that it was. It's progress. It's not qualify or being shit, getting to a semi-final, getting to a final. It's all progress. It's all good things. Liking the players, actually being a tolerable team, enjoying it. Going out on penalties the way it's supposed to be. It's very, very comforting in a way it was. But it was just a really good tournament. It was good fun. And, good vibes. Party times. No more international football. Fuck it off. I don't care about any international breaks. I will only care about the football again in December 2022 when it's in Qatar. International breaks are shit. We can't wait to talk about literally anything else other than international football in the international breaks. Premier League is back, baby. Woo!
Yeah, there it is. Much better, much better. All right. Well, if you are joining us for the first time, and we do often get a lot of new listeners in between seasons, welcome. We are very, very happy to have you. We are one American and two Brits, as you probably already picked up on, and we try to talk about the Premier League, but we mostly get off track. But I figured a good way to start this season would be to introduce ourselves a little bit to any new listeners / anybody who just didn't realize that you were two different British people, like my brother.
Happened. Yeah. Actually happened.
Yep, literally, our first season. So I'll start off. Figure you can tell us what team you support, tiny little bit about yourself, and what's your favorite animal? Because no one asks us our favorite animals now that we're adults, but I want to tell people that my favorite animal is a tiger, because it's the best hunter in the world. So, but yeah, I'm an American and a Chelsea fan. So, your classic sort of bigger teams kind of guy. I bring a different perspective in terms of having grown up in the American sports system and all that sort of stuff, and try to tend to be less biased about things like the English pyramid or the Super League than our otherwise English listeners and friends and co-hosts might be. But Chuck, give us a little bit about yourself for the new listeners.
My name's Chuck. My favourite animal is, what is it? Probably a bear. I'd like to have a bear as a pet. That'd be pretty cool. Big fuck off bear.
Any specific kind of bear? Polar bear, grizzly bear? What are you talking?
Big bear.
Big bear.
All right.
Big bear.
Grizzly bear it is then.
Winnie the Pooh. I am a Crystal Palace fan for my sins, feeling alarmingly positive about this year, but then getting rid of the dinosaur will do that to you. That's about it, really. What else do I say? I don't fucking know. Ian's the one that's got the most things to be happy about.
Yeah, well, yeah, I'm a Peterborough fan, so I see myself as the sort of everyman on the Premier League side because I don't have an allegiance to any Premier League club other than the two that you support, Chelsea and Crystal Palace, which sort of by osmosis I semi-support. But Yeah, Peterborough fan, so Championship stalwarts now. We won't be leaving the Championship for a long time now. That's a given. And I was brought on because I know about sound and can mix. So that's about it.
And I mean, the good thing is that Peterborough are guaranteed like at least 3 seasons in the Championship.
Yeah,
you know,
definitely.
Autumn, winter, spring.
Nicely taken. Yeah, okay. With Darren Ferguson's record in the Championship, there's nothing can go wrong, can it?
Context?
I think we've had one season in the Championship. Every other one has been a relegation. So, but we'll sack him and then we'll get him back in a few years. It's fine. It's the cycle. It's
there you go. There you go. It's the circle of life.
Yeah.
All right. Well, we figured this episode would be a good place to do a season preview. So we've written some stuff down about some teams. We'll talk about how their seasons went last season and how that might have implications about how they're going to go this season. Maybe make a few predictions. Speaking of which, Chuck, do you want to tell people about the Predictor League so that can sort of help guide our conversation?
Oh, Predictor League up top.
We're putting up the top. Oh, top billing. The Predictor League is... I won't do the jingle now. You haven't earned it yet.
No, ease them in.
Is a game which seemingly this year everyone is fucking ripping off. I've seen Sky Sports doing their own version to send in. I'm like, what? This is ridiculous. Basically, send us in your predictions to our DMs on Twitter or email us milesoffsidepod@gmail.com. Literally just with where you think all 20 teams will finish in the Premier League this year. It is free entry. There is a £50 prize for if you come first to spend in the club shop of your choice. And I did this without either of these two knowing, but if we get 50 entries, it'll be £100 just because.
I was going to suggest 100 also. Yay! Excellent.
Literally, I'll run it. I don't know. I'm not going to close it at the start of the season again. I'll give all you Johnny-come-latelys a bit more of a chance because I know you love it. But I haven't really decided when, so I'll give you a bit of notice. Maybe about 3 weeks into the season. That feels about right.
End of August or something.
Game week 3, end of August, whatever. So literally, 20 teams. Where you think they'll finish? Send it to our DMs. Bitches!
Excellent.
And you get points depending on how close you get it right. And low score is good score. It's probably you'll understand later through the medium of song. That's all I'll say.
Will they? Will they, though? I don't know. So that's the Predictor League. We'll go through our 3 entries at some point over the course of this episode. And before we jump into the actual discussion about the teams and the predictions and all that sort of stuff, I should give a brief, and I do mean brief for once, primer on something called expected goals, because it's going to come up all the fucking time on this podcast. So those of you that may have heard of the term, don't know what it is, some of you have never heard of it at all, what I will explain is that basically, when you watch a match, any fan can get a sense of like, oh man, Man United were really lucky to get away with that win. The scoreline doesn't reflect how the game actually went, the run of play, all that sort of stuff, right? And so what expected goals does is it uses really advanced, cool math stuff that I'm more than happy to explain at some point if you want to DM me, or we have a couple of Patreon episodes.
Whether you ask or not.
But basically, it looks at every shot that's ever been taken from a certain position, taking into account a bunch of variables like did it come off of a cross? Is there a defender in front of them? Where is the keeper? All that sort of stuff. It calculates the chances that that goal will go in. So let's say that shot 40% of the time was scored. Then that gets added to a team's expected goals as a 0.4. 40% go in, so that's 0.4 of a goal. You add those up over the course of the season. You add up how many they concede. And that's actually the most predictive measure that we currently have in analytics as far as using it to see how teams are going to do going into the future. It's actually more predictive than real points, real goals, anything else that we've been able to find. So that's the deal with expected goals. Basically, you say, man, they probably should have scored 2 or 3 today. Literally, expected goals calculates how many they quote-unquote could have scored if you simulated the exact same shot a million times.
We mostly don't exist in reality, so if you're not interested in XG and you're one of those kind of people, probably just turn off. Don't bother. If you really like get all your news from Sky Sports and TalkSport, this probably isn't the podcast for you.
Yeah, if you like ESPN FC over here in the US, we're not a proper football. The game's gone, mate. Tackles are used to be tackles. Now tackles aren't anything kind of guys. So.
Despite my best efforts, we're not that podcast.
Well, Ian is the northern one, and also really old.
Fucking hell. No one's going to listen to my voice and go, he's northern.
Americans might.
Well, yeah, maybe, yeah.
All right, let's go through these teams. Let's start off with Manchester City. They are the defending champions, and they finished on 86 points last season. That was first place. On 83 expected points, also first place. 83 goals on 78 expected, both of those first place. And 32 goals allowed on 31 expected goals allowed, also both first place. So undeniably top of every metric that we have for the season last season, well and truly deserved champions. Do you guys think that they will run it right back?
How many crosses did they play? That's the real one. Manchester City are good. Hot. Starting with the hottest of hot takes.
Steaming take.
I haven't signed anyone yet this year. Well, sorry to do Scott Carson a disservice there. But, I don't think you can move at the minute for seeing Kane and Grealish rumours. Yeah, if they add players like that, then who knows, they could probably run away with it completely again. But it's interesting. They've been, apart from that, there's not been a hell of a lot of noise about them. And I wonder if that's just a bit of a malaise since they are such a good team. Do you think?
Yeah, I mean, that's kind of a running theme with all the big teams so far, other than Man United. There hasn't been much in the way of there's been a lot of rumors, but I think all the big players are off, did international tournaments. They're on their 1 week break between seasons, all that sort of stuff. So it seems to be kind of a slow market, at least for now. But I do also wonder, we talk about Grealish potentially being someone that they're going after, a really talented young winger. Kane, a striker that exists. They're recruiting. Do they even need to? Do they just run it back? How are you guys feeling about them? Has anything changed that makes you think that they're no longer the best team in the Prem or the best team in the league, in the world even?
Relying on Gabriel Jesus as your striker. That's not a good thing. But he doesn't score goals.
You're absolutely right, because goals were spread around for them, weren't they?
Yeah.
But they still managed to win the league without that striker, without Kevin De Bruyne for a lot of the season, with Sterling not really firing. Sterling's form coming off the Euros might be better. Kevin De Bruyne's back, and they might have Harry Kane. It's very hard for me to see them not winning at a canter, to be honest. Providing they get Kane, and especially if Grealish comes as well, because then you've just got a midfield where your B team would smash every Premier League team's. Well, probably. I mean, maybe not. Oscar might argue with that with Chelsea, but I find it hard to put them anywhere other than first at a fairly easy canter, I think, because there's just too many positives for them, I think.
Interesting. I think definitely if they sign a striker that is more of a lock than not, I think, depending on how the Harry Kane situation goes and the loss of Aguero, who, wasn't getting massive minutes, but was still sort of a leader in the clubhouse. And when he did play, put those goals away, put those chances away every time. We'll see how that loss affects them, and how, if they do pursue a striker and don't get one, how that goes as well. So Ian, I'm assuming you have them first in your Predictor League then, though.
I do, yeah. I do. I just can't see anything else. As I say, there were negatives last season. Their poor start, Sterling's form. There were negatives, and they still managed to do it relatively comfortably. And there's just been no negatives other than losing the Champions League final and Tuchel apparently having their number tactically, which I get. Mm-hmm. That's brilliant. But that's.
Wait, sorry. Did Chelsea win the Champions League final last season?
That may have happened.
That was last season, though, mate. Last season. We're in this season. But yeah, granted, he had an amazing run of form in there, but Gundogan being your top scorer for the season is an odd one and a bit of an anomaly. But they are just so great, and they beat on every metric, and they find a way. So I think it'll be a bit closer, but. Personally, than Man City at a canter. But I think this year's interesting. I think with the COVID of it all.
Yeah, I think the COVID's going to be a factor. I think last season, certainly in the second half of the season, we saw Pep and Tuchel were the only two managers that really seemed to go and really adapt to the COVID ball, and the guys being incredibly tired, playing constant games, all that sort of stuff. If I might pick nits very briefly, because otherwise we're all just sitting here saying, wow, Man City are good, they're going to be good. Whatever slight case we might have for it being more interesting than that is that if you look at the last 19 games, so the second half of the season, I have those numbers as well, they were actually second on expected points to Chelsea and third on expected goals allowed behind Chelsea and Brighton, which is a weird one. Brighton had a great underlying defense. We don't even need to talk about that last season, whatever. That also happens to coincide exactly with when Tuchel came in. Tuchel managed 19 games, which is exactly half a season. So the back half of the season, which can, from a predictive analytics perspective, does carry more weight than just the entire season. They were second, Ian, and they were third best defense, which is potentially something to look at?
I think so, but it's also, at that point, they were so far ahead that they could do that. Like, they didn't have to then be the best team for 19 games, you know what I mean? They were behind, weren't they, in about 13th after a few games? Something like that. They were really, They were really down, and then they won however many 16 in a row, and just then they were 10 points ahead, and that was it. It was just job done.
Yeah. At the end of November, they were in 13th spot. You're right. Yeah, I mean,
the end of November,
ridiculous.
That late.
Yeah, it was quite late. Yeah,
but yeah, what about the? I mean, I genuinely forgot that second place was the other side of Manchester last year.
I know. How fucking crazy is last season that United came in second and none of Ian? Did you remember that? Because I was very surprised when I looked up the table this morning.
Well, it's as I've said, Manchester United are the Peterborough United of the Premier League. They can't.
What does that even mean? I don't understand that.
I tell you exactly what it means, Oscar. They can't defend, but they score when they need to, and that's what Peterborough do. Everyone knows that clearly. So, it is surprising whenever you sort of forget about football for a little while, and then someone says, like, Man United were second. You're like, fuck off! No, they weren't. It is ridiculous to think that they were second. Their away record was incredibly good last season, but it'll be interesting to see what they do at home with the fans back in the stands.
Yeah, that is a big wild card for this season. Like, we'll see how that affects teams and all that, or if it even lasts that long, because who fucking knows,
I've flipped around. I was quite negative about everything last season. I'm going to try and be positive about all COVID things this season.
There you go.
It's, okay. Things are going well. Let's hope.
You don't want to be positive, mate. You don't want to be positive.
Oh, you don't. Sorry, no.
Want to be positive. You don't.
Every test has been negative.
You did it wrong.
Well, let me throw out some numbers for United. They did come in second place. They had 74 points on 66 expected, so that's an overperformance. They had 73 goals on 63 expected. That's actually the second biggest overperformance in the league. And 44 goals allowed on 42 expected, so pretty much exactly there. In terms of their rankings for expected, because that's the most predictive for this season, they were 4th on expected points, 4th on expected goals, 4th on expected goals allowed, and looking at the back half of the season, they were 3rd on expected points, 4th on expected goals, and 4th on expected goals allowed. So pretty, unanimously by the numbers, the 4th best team in the league for the underlying.
So Peterborough and Man United are the Championship, but Man United are the Arsenal of the Premiership?
Yes.
Sure.
Yeah, exactly.
4th place FA Cup. Yeah, cool.
Sure, yeah.
Did they win the FA Cup? Who won the FA Cup?
Leicester won the FA Cup, dude. It was huge. They beat us in the final, but I was happy about it because it's Leicester, so whatever, it's fine. And we won the Champions League on May 29, 2021, about 10 days later, so that worked out okay.
Did you?
Yeah. It might come up once or twice.
Barely mentioned it. Talk about Man United, Ian.
Okay, well, Solskjaer's lack of defensive knowledge, or he doesn't even care, I don't think. About
He's very much a manager who just tells them to go out and play. And he's like, fun. You guys are all good. You'll figure it out. I'll throw 11 talented people on the pitch and they'll sort it out.
Absolutely. I mean, Chuck coined last year the tactical, people talk about diamonds and the gegenpressing and stuff, and Chuck coined last season Luke Shaw plus vibes. That's all you need.
Luke Shaw plus vibes.
And that's very much what he did tactically all season. And they conceded the first goal so often, but they still managed to finish second. Now, we said at the start of the season, we were all absolutely certain of them finishing 4th. Absolutely certain of it. And as you say, the expected stats said
in
they
every fucking category, first half of the season and entire season, or second half of the season and entire season, 4th place.
Yeah. I mean, and it's weird, because with the talent they've got through, certainly their starting 11, there's no reason why they shouldn't solidify. They've got decent defenders, but it just seems like the system isn't right. They conceded a lot from set pieces last year, and I do wonder if they're going to do anything to fix that at all.
I don't think they'll do that because it looks like Ole's at the fucking wheel for the foreseeable future, but they have certainly gone out and made noise in the transfer market. That is something that could potentially shift their numbers, right? They've gone Jaden Sancho, who's one of the most talented wingers in the world, and for whatever reason is underrated by English people, even though he is English.
Because he doesn't play in England, but that is ridiculous. You're absolutely
He's
right.
insane.
Yeah.
His underlying, he's one of the most talented young players in the world. They got Varane and another defender, right? I haven't kept track of this.
They got Tom Heaton.
Right. Okay. Goalkeeper.
Varane, who, and I've noticed this, but they did it with Sancho as well, almost to be like, can all the fans leave us alone now? Like, they're the only club that have done official announcements of players before they've agreed personal terms and done the medical. Like, both times for Sancho and Varane, and then like a week and a half to 2 weeks later, they do the actual announcement. Like, they're that much of a, we need to control the narrative and stop everyone bombarding us and saying that
Their
the
fans
Glazers need to go
into the stadium and rioted last season, so I would imagine that they're a little concerned about keeping them happy, just a bit.
West Ham do that every week. But yeah, Sancho is many good. Varane, if he eventually gets announced, although according to Rio Ferdinand, he won't know what hit him, and in the Premier League, crosses come from angles you never knew were possible.
Underneath, obviously.
Like, this guy was like a good defender. Like, what? Mad. The Varane one feels strange to me because Real Madrid aren't like a club that just sell players. I mean, I know they have an eye on Mbappe just to go out of the league, and that's why they've just sold Ramos and Varane, or not sold Ramos, just got rid of him to PSG. And they've got Varane. But, you know, I think it's interesting if he's going to partner with Maguire. I mean, who did he have? Like, Lindelof always had a rick in him. You've got Eric Bailly, who, again, the same.
I mean, they have one good center back, and then this could be their actual second one. Like, do we think that these transfers are going to be enough to bump them up? At least, obviously, they came in second, so, like, arguably not bump up. But you know what I mean? Like, are they going to be at the same quality level as Chelsea and Liverpool now?
I can say potentially, like, they'll deserve being there more.
Fair enough.
I think so. That, like, if you start to put in Sancho, you know, and the way they're going, like with Varane, and who else would their front line be? I mean, Cavani's good, like part of the way. Rashford's obviously out for a while, which is a shame. But they've got Lingard. Fernandes is there. They might be getting Ruben Neves, or who knows. I mean, as we record, there's 28 days left of the transfer window, so who fucking knows what can happen between now and then. But they're gradually building a bit more of a squad, spending a lot of money to do it, but I think they can deserve it a bit more. I do. It's a clear statement of intent from them that they spend a load of money again. They've just given Ole a 3-year contract from now. Seemingly he is their plan, maybe because no managers really want to leave their clubs at the minute, but who knows.
So where do you have them in your Predictor League then? Let's finish up the Manchester United discussion that way. I have them third. So this is one of my hotter takes. I have them above Liverpool, which we'll talk about Liverpool in a second. But so that's me. I have them at third place.
I have them fourth.
As do I.
All right, perfect. Well, let's just move on then to Liverpool. Liverpool came in third place last season, 69 points on 69 expected. So exactly spot on, third place and third on expected. 68 goals on 72 expected, so slight underperformance, and 42 goals allowed on 47 expected, a fairly significant overperformance defensively. They have signed one big name in defense. That's 40 million for Konate. But other than that, there hasn't been that much movement for them. It looks like the plan is going to be just run it back with, Salah, Mane, Firmino up front. Jota can sort of rotate in, whatever it is. Like, it's going to be the same core that they've had for a few years, which has been one of the best teams in the world for a few years. But obviously them being a year older is an issue, especially since all of their front line is now in their 30s officially. So what do you guys think? You think they're going to come in third again? Do you think they're going to push back up towards the title? Where do you guys sort of see them finishing this year?
I see it. Well, the main difference is, last year very early on they had Van Dijk injured. They lost Joe Gomez. They ran with, it was something like 10 games in a row where they had different centre back pairings in every single one, and none of those games matched each other, if you see what I mean, as well.
Yeah.
Just for two positions, that's mad. So they had no consistency or stability there. And we were saying at the time, like, that those guys who came through, your Nathaniel Phillips and, who was the other guy? Ian, who was the other guy?
Williams,
Neco Williams, thank you very much.
Wow, good recall.
Also, with Alisson being out for a while and having Kelleher in, I can't say his first name. So there was just no consistency there. So I think if Van Dijk can stay fit, and he's literally been out, I think they've left him out longer than before, than he needed, played his first few minutes the other day. That's a huge difference. Like, he is an incredible, incredible centre-back. And if they bring in Konate, who they're saying is of a similar mould, come in from Leipzig, makes me wonder whether those two will specifically play together or not. But still, that's a good signing. And with their front three, you know, you say like all over 30, but I see Jota dropping in there a lot more often this season. Again, dealt with injuries last year, and he's been, you know, we were a bit concerned whether he would be able to step up to Liverpool, or even from like a fantasy football kind of side of things, which is obviously what we've played for a long time, how his impact would have. But he just made that step up quite seamlessly, I think, and very quickly as well. So I'm interested by Liverpool this year, you know, just in a way like an intrigue, and see how they can kick on from what they could probably look back at and see as quite a lucky finishing position to how they were at the end of the season.
Yeah. I mean, to me, they are the biggest question mark of the big teams, which is kind of weird because they're, like we just said, that they're mostly running it back. But the Van Dijk coming back, the one new center back, the aging, who's going to get rotated in, who's going to get rotated out, they're a big question mark for me. Definitely the defense is going to be different with their best players healthy all season. I would simply point out that they did overperform last season in defense, despite having all of those problems. And on expected, they came in 7th. They were 3rd on expected points, 2nd on expected goals, and 7th on expected goals allowed. So I think that there's more question marks there than people otherwise want to see, just because they're in the middle of a dynasty / at the tail end of a dynasty. I'm not saying that Salah, Mane, and Firmino aren't going to still be some of the better players in the league. But at this level, when they're trying to keep up with Chelsea, with City, with United, who are investing heavily, like, it's such fine margins that even if just one of those guys goes off the age curve, which is likely to happen for one or more of them given their ages, I think that could be enough to knock them down 4th. I have them in 4th in my Predictor League. I already said that. Where do you guys have them? Ian, where do you see Liverpool finishing?
So I've got them 3rd. I think they don't kick on because, as you say, defence wasn't the problem. I think they Crystal Palace game aside, they didn't score a lot of goals. It was
shit. Yeah, I forgot about that.
Yeah, I know, it's easy to forget, isn't it? But the lack of being ruthless up front was a real problem for them. And as you say, they're 3 main goal scorers. I mean, they've got Jota now as well, obviously, but they're 3 main attacking threats that you might think have all aged a year. And like, it's exactly what you say. It's a bit, when you look at the stats, defence wasn't the problem. So I don't know, if Jota can have a hell of a season, it might help them out. But I don't see them pushing on personally. So yeah, I've got them 3rd again. I think Wijnaldum's more of a loss than people make out as well, to be honest. I know they've got Thiago now and they've got Henderson back and stuff, but I just it was such a reliable player for them.
Mm-hmm.
And I think it's not being talked about that that his loss, I think, might affect him. But I don't know, maybe I'm being simplistic about things.
I think they're hoping that Naby Keita finally kind of steps up and does something.
Yeah, okay.
I didn't realise he was going into I think he's going into his 4th season.
Yeah,
as
that
a
dude has
Liverpool
had so
player.
many injuries. Good Lord. I think he went 2 years without playing or something.
Insane. I thought he joined the year before. Mad. But yeah, like you said, Thiago and Fabinho in there. Henderson.
Yeah, Henderson too. Henderson's 31. That's another one who's on the wrong side of the age curve. They have a lot of guys in their early 30s who are very important to their team.
I don't think the age thing affects Henderson much for the position he plays. Because you see players like Fernandinho still being able to do it going up to 37, 38.
Yeah, it helps the further back in the pitch you are, yeah.
Yeah, and he's the constipator, he's just there to kind of...
That's what he does, yeah.
Gum things up anyway. But yeah, they could be, as at the top end of the table anyway, they could have one of the highest average ages. Must do.
Certainly, Chelsea are very, very young. City is hard to calculate because they have guys all over the map, so I'd imagine they're probably in the middle somewhere. But United and Chelsea have very young squads, for sure, by comparison. Speaking of Chelsea, actually, let's go ahead and move on there, right? I guess we'll wrap up with one yes or no question. Do you think that Liverpool has any reasonable chance at a title this season? Chuck, yes or no?
I'd say it's within the realms of variance, but I wouldn't nail my colours to the mast and say yes to that. I think it's a very slim chance.
Okay, so
if they were to do it.
Okay, Ian, slim chance, yes or no?
Yeah. I think it depends what you mean by reasonable. I would say if you're looking at 10-15% chance, that's about where I pitch it. I think.
Look who's Mr. Caveat now.
Well, quite. Yeah.
Still you. Still
me. Yeah, definitely. All right. Speaking of me, let's move on to Chelsea, defending Champions League champions of Europe. May 29, 2021, same as May 19, 2012. Very, very good time to be alive. Chelsea finishing 4th place last season. Chelsea, by far the biggest underperformers of the big teams last year. League. Chelsea finishing 4th on 67 points, 10 below their expected points on 77. 58 goals scored on 69 expected goals, so 11 underperforming, and 36 goals allowed on 31 expected, so again, underperforming by 5. On expectation, they were 2nd, they were 3rd on expected goals, and tied 1st on expected goals allowed, so the best defense in the league along with Man City. And obviously, the back half of the season was the big story. Chelsea fired their manager halfway through the year. Rest in R.I.P. Frank Lampard. We love you. Gone but not forgotten. And big old Tommy Tooks came in. Tommy Tooks, who fucking took off flying. And we were, in my opinion, and in a lot of actually analytics' people's opinion, the best team in the world from January to the end of the season. We were 1st on expected points, tied for 2nd on expected goals, and 1st on expected goals allowed for the back half of the season. And notably, beat City 3 times in the last month, including in the Champions League final. So I think Chelsea are going to be fucking amazing. Probably the best team in the world this coming season. I am a Chelsea fan, so I would say that. But I will say that I have heard Spurs and Liverpool fans who are into numbers saying that very begrudgingly. So that fills me with a little bit of hope. Where are you guys at on Chelsea going in?
I think you need to be. You need to know your colours a little bit more to the mast, Oscar. Are you're you're definitely sure about this.
Really dancing around the point, to be honest, mate.
Yeah.
I mean, I didn't say we're going to be the greatest team of all time, or that we're going to get the treble for the record. So, I could have gone higher. I could have gone higher.
Yeah.
So, no, because what he's done here, Ian, is he's very cleverly worded it so that if Chelsea don't win a trophy this year, he can still say, well, sometimes the best teams don't win trophies, So after 4 years, I know your fucking games.
And they're not going to win the Community Shield, and that's the one they all want. So.
That's the one they all want to kick off the season.
Exactly. Fine, I'll nail my colours on. We're going to finish 1st place. I have them in 1st place in my Predictor League. I genuinely believe that. I already put money on them to win the Premier League, and I think we'll make deep runs in both of the cups. You never know with invariance what could happen there. But I could very much see us doing a double. And I definitely think we're going to win the league. So
okay. So is this where we have to counter you?
Do whatever you feel. What's in your heart, Ian? When you think of beautiful Mason Mount and Kai Havertz and his love of goats. I do love
Mason Mount. I don't know whether, again, it's osmosed from you, but I do love Mason Mount.
He's fucking great,
He's such a great player to watch, yeah.
So what? So tell me, what does your heart speak to you when Chelsea Football Club comes up?
I think well, I said Man City at a canter. I say these things to be bombastic, as I am. But I think Chelsea got I think Chelsea's got a very good chance. When you see me, you think Shaggy. I know.
I mean, I want to shag you, so hey.
But yeah, I do think Chelsea got a very good chance. I think that there is a worry, and I think that is conversion of that XG. Because even under Tuchel, in fact, under Tuchel, since Tuchel took over, no team underperformed their XG as much as Chelsea.
Yeah, 11 goals off, 25 goals scored on 36 expected under Tuchel.
So that is a worry. And now, I mean, are you of the opinion that Werner is just going to come good? Or that you need to do something else?
He has visited many. He has travelled the world, visiting as many priests, shaman, witch doctors. He has slaughtered the appropriate level of livestock. He has bathed in the blood under the light of a full moon. He has hopefully broken his curse, because that's what Chelsea need. Goal scorer. I mean, it makes perfect sense why the two players you've been linked with the heaviest this year recently is Big Rom Lukaku again, back again, and Erling Haaland. Like, those are and it makes perfect sense, because when you're underperforming, if you want to, be a legit team, and fair enough, through the realms of analytics now, they know how to play in a certain way in order to maximize the XG at every opportunity. How, sometimes a point, something that might seem low, like a 0.3 shot, if they actually made another pass to an area from that situation that would normally be a 0.5, it actually becomes a 0.2 because of time, and etc, etc. And these guys know their fucking shit on Rain Man levels. However, for Oscar's sanity and heart rate and all those kind of things, Chelsea need someone who puts the ball away. Now, towards the back end of the season and across the Euros, that's looking quite well as being Kai Havertz potentially, because he all of a sudden stepped up to a completely different role, and it seems like it fits for that. But you'd want those goals. I mean, who was your top scorer last season? Jorginho with 7?
Jorginho, yeah.
Yeah. And that was penalties, obviously, that's why. Timo just kept winning penalties.
8 assists from Timo, more assists than goals.
Yeah.
Oh, so 7. So that's the thing. You see 8 assists, but 7 of them are he fell over for a penalty. So
they all count.
They all count. So yeah, that's the caveat with Chelsea, is just, can they start delivering that pitch? Because there is no doubting whatsoever the quality of talent that they have running completely through that team, and the same with a manager who came in and knew exactly what to do to get the most out of the situation they were in, who knew best how to adapt a team in the climate of COVID, which is that, you need to be super fit, you need to choke the life out of games, you need to play. Like, I openly said to Oscar many, many times that, like, I fucking hated watching Chelsea play. It was dull. It was awful.
Absolutely.
Because that's just the way you had to play last year. And I think that will probably happen this year.
Yep.
And it's whether they can do that, have someone who puts the ball away, gets the goals, and then they just sit back and fucking lock it down.
Yeah, and I mean, we went almost 3 months without conceding more than 0.5 XG in a match. And that was through through Champions League semifinals, the entire Champions League knockout rounds, FA Cup all the way to the final, big games in the Prem. Like, this was crunch time season, and we didn't concede to fucking anybody. Yeah. Atletico Madrid, Real Madrid, it was amazing. So I think, but I do want to answer your question directly, Ian, because you did ask a direct question earlier. One, I do think Timo's going to come good. I think he was adjusting. I think it was a weird league, a weird season. I think a bunch of stuff happens when players move to a new country, but his underlying numbers continue to be good. And there's no reason to think that that was anything more than a random aberration. That just happens. So I think he'll come good. I think he'll improve to his level and potentially even improve the underlying numbers, along with regressing to that mean. No, I don't think it's necessary for us to go out and buy a striker. I'm more than happy to keep Kai playing up there as a not-so-false 9. I think we saw last season, as he finally recovered from his very serious bout of COVID that had him, like, bedridden for almost a month. And, like, he just wasn't fit till, like, the last quarter of the season. And to me, it was always obvious that he just didn't have fitness levels, but everyone was like, oh, new young player, new club, new country, blah, blah, blah. Once he got healthy and fit, he was amazing. And he carried that through for Germany. I mean, he scored the Champions League winning goal, because we won the Champions League. I don't know if you guys know, on May 29, 2021.
No, went past me by. Yeah, I think it was weird, actually, I think, how much the mainstream media seemed to ignore the fact that he had that COVID diagnosis and he suffered from it. Like, it was always framed as Havertz struggling to settle. And it was like, well...
I think it was everything, but yeah, I just think, especially at that time, to be... And not that I would normally be fair to the media, like, it's only coming into the last few months that people have started to understand, and long COVID has been a thing.
Yeah.
And I think, and because we were guilty also of that, because we are part of the mainstream, obviously, match.
Literally, some people listen to this podcast, okay?
That we were guilty of that, and saying, like, he came in 20 years old, lots of money, having to come to a new country, everything's on lockdown, he can't go out and see anyone, stuck in his room, etc., etc. Like, there was a whole holistic thing. And so, we can all as well enjoy the response of the dumbest question in the world, going, oh, do you think you've justified your price tag now, scoring the goal in the Champions League? And verbatim said, I don't really give a fuck about that, we just won the fucking Champions League.
Beautiful.
Like, big dick swinging mic drop moment, boom. So I got love for the guy just because of that. And so, yeah, I think Chelsea are incredibly interesting.
That's
this
what
year.
You need to get Chuck on side. Just drop an F-bomb on live TV. Job done.
Boom. Yep. I'm in.
Yep. The vibes at the club, man. I don't remember since, like, probably 2010 when it was like Drogba, Lampard, Terry, like, at their height. I don't remember having this good of a vibe in the clubhouse as we have with this group of players. There's so many guys under 23 right now. They all came up through academies together or met each other early on enough that it's basically the same thing. They're all super best friends. They're all over each other's Instagrams. They're fucking obsessed with each other. Like, the mood at the club is amazing right now. And I think that helps with young players to keep them sort of improving.
Definitely.
Because with how young we are, like, it's not out of the question that we would actually be better than we were last year, despite our already very good underlying numbers last season. Like, you know, that's just what happens when 22-year-olds become 23-year-olds or 23-year-olds become 24-year-olds. Like, that's very much in the cards. Obviously, if we go out and get Haaland or Lukaku or any other giant fucking striker, because Haaland's like 7'4" and 350 pounds of muscle, not literally. And obviously, Big Rom is called Big Rom for a reason. I wouldn't mind that. You know, I love when Chelsea have a physical striker in the box who can sort of clear out defenders and make space for other guys. But if we keep who we have, I still think we're going to win the league. I still think we're the best team.
You had him like 7 years ago, for fuck's sake.
Wow.
But to carry on the good vibes and to make you feel good, I actually have Chelsea as first as well in my Predictor League.
Oh, okay.
I think just because... I mean, firstly, good vibes. Fuck it. See what happens.
Thanks, bud.
And secondly, I just think it's within the realms of possibility. Like, people said this about Chelsea went into the Champions League final. They weren't favourites, and the odds were 3-1 at kickoff. You know, no one was expecting what Tuchel did to happen. The underlying numbers are there. Like you said, they've got a squad. I think it's interesting. I think there's realms of possibility there. I'd certainly say a Man City Chelsea top two is what should, quote unquote, all things being equal and without madcap things happening. That's what I think, no matter what, the top two would be.
Yeah.
And most people going across would agree with us. Funnily enough, Patreon Jeff Pedder is the only other person so far that also has Chelsea in first place.
Oh, that's a reverse jinx if I've ever fucking heard one. Thanks, Jeff. Thanks, Jeff. I'm going to put Spurs to win my league now. Appreciate it.
Can I change? Yeah.
No takesies, backsies. But anyway, you'll have another 38 weeks to talk about fucking Chelsea for 20 minutes of time. So,
all right, so let's go on then to... I guess we should include Leicester in our big teams conversation because they continue to show up towards the top of the table years in a row now. So Leicester finished 5th. I didn't write down the super numbers. I just wrote down the expected ranking. They finished 5th on actual table points, but 6th on expected, 7th on expected goals, and 6th on expected goals allowed. So pretty much exactly about where they ended up. And looking at the last 19, the back half of the season, they were 7th on expected points, 6th on expected goals, and 7th on expected goals allowed. So there's somewhere between the 6th or 7th best team in the league, which is genuinely impressive given their budget, given their size, given the fact that they are undoubtedly better than both Arsenal and Spurs now, who are very big clubs with very big budgets and very big names. But do either of you believe that Leicester will finally make the push and end up top 4 and not fall out on the last day of the season again?
98% of the last 2 seasons in the top 4 and finished 5th both times.
It's a signal.
Just a needle. Yeah, I don't think they do. I don't, but then I don't think that's necessarily a bad thing. I think that they've got European football again. They've progressed so well. You know, everyone knows. Oh, did they win the league? No one ever talks about it. You know, they had. You know, a couple of years ago, their fucking owner died in a helicopter crash. Huge things have happened to that club in recent history. And then the fact that you're sitting here saying a team that got promoted 5 years ago, 6 years ago, whatever it is now, you're like, oh, should they be finishing in the top 4? It's incredible to say at this point. Again, before the fact. On the last day, you can always laugh, for fuck's sake, they dropped out of the top 4 by a point this time. But they're just an impressively and jealousy-inducingly well-run club. They love the fans. They look after them. They make smart buys. They spend their money well.
They have again.
They really have.
They're having a great summer.
Patson Daka, I am fucking gutted. I really wanted him at Palace. And then when I saw he went to Leicester, I was like, well, that makes me have wanted him even more. Like, knew that it's just ridiculous. He's going to be a great addition. I don't know much about Sumare. They've also bought who's a central midfielder. Potentially, if indeed he goes, who knows if that's going to be what happens there. And they also picked up Ryan Bertrand, which I don't think is a bad on a free transfer as a squad player. Knows league well. The big kind of question is, not just can they perform, but will Jamie Vardy's legs hold out for another year?
I mean, he's only 58 years old, right? Something like that.
It's a beautiful age. Jamie Vardy is a question mark, but I think it's less of a question mark with how Iheanacho ended the season and now with Daka as well.
Yeah, I agree. I think they've made the moves they need to prepare for Vardy's eventual exit.
Exactly. Daka's 22, and in the last 2 seasons for Salzburg scored 61 goals. I mean, 22. We're looking at 4 or 5 years away from his peak, perhaps. I mean, I think that's a really good buy. I think they're preparing for Vardy slowing down. There was less minutes than usual last season, and obviously that's going to get more. What is he? 34 now, really?
34, yeah.
Yeah. So, I think they've done very well. I don't think they'll break the top 4, but I don't think they're far away. I could fully believe that they'd spend another 90% or whatever of the season in the top 4.
I think the key is, do you see anyone overtaking them?
Yeah, that's the bigger question to me. I think that they are probably going to finish 5th. I agree with you, Chuck. I think sometimes I come off like I don't like Leicester, but mostly I get annoyed when people are like, oh, they're in the top 4 because they're the 4th best team or the 3rd best team in the world, or in the league, rather. And I'm like, no, they're just a little bit, variance is a thing over the course of a season. So, I get frustrated when people talk about them being at the same level as Chelsea, United, Liverpool, and City.
Do people really talk about them that, though? Because
I feel...
Yes,
people do, not people that we talk to.
Right, fair enough, okay. Because I feel like they've got a best of the rest vibe.
Yeah, they are, but I also think that, Oscar, I don't think it's fair when you get this information from Twitter. There are some real every club is the same.
Fair enough.
Every club is genuinely the best team in the world, and blah, blah, blah,
But yeah, I mean, like you said, Chuck, they got promoted 6 seasons ago, something like that. They were by far the favorites to get relegated that season that they did the Great Escape. And then they won the league, and last year they won the fucking FA Cup. What a dream run those guys are on in the last 10 years with their promotion title FA Cup. This is amazing for them, and their fans must be thrilled. I mean, obviously it sucks to be in the top 4 for 98% of the season and then drop out on the last day 2 seasons in a row. But man, they're doing 5th place things, and they are the 5th best team or thereabouts. And I think they should be really happy with that. And I don't think that it's wrong to say that is their level. I don't think that they can go higher than that, but I think that that's really a notable achievement for how fucking tiny they are and how far down they were very, very recently. That's amazing for them.
And they had Kane and Vardy on the bench when they got promoted to the Premier League.
They did.
They had Kane and Vardy.
Yeah. Kane, Vardy, and Mahrez. Yeah, there's a picture of Kane, Vardy, and Mahrez on the bench before.
Oh my god,
they got promoted. Yeah, I saw the year 2 would have been the year before they got 2 years before they got promoted. Sorry, is I saw Palace play Leicester, and there was Vardy was just on the bench. He didn't even come off. I don't think so.
I mean, they've always recruited really well too. So we talk about the summer they're having. They found N'Golo Kante. You know what I mean?
Yeah. The next step for them is it's at the point now where they have to start paying 60, 70 million for players to get players of that caliber throughout the squad to then get to the next level, and potentially it not be Brendan Rodgers be the manager.
Do you think? Oh, I don't know.
I have no problem with him. I think he's a pretty good manager. I'm not going to lie. I know he's a douchebag and everyone laughs about his veneers and that he is a portrait of himself in his living room and all that shit. He seems like a real fucking asshole, but I think he's a pretty good manager. I think he's done a good job with that squad too.
I just like saying things that get Oscar to jump in and defend Leicester. I'm
it's fun. Apparently, this is new.
It's working.
Yeah. But we both, Oscar, you and I both have Leicester in 5th. Ian, though, you have another team in there.
Yeah, I was looking. I don't remember doing that, and I feel a bit wrong about that now. I've got Spurs above Leicester, and I don't really know why.
All right, okay.
But,
all right. I guess that would be a good place to transition then to Spurs.
Sorry, West Ham.
Yeah, fuck. You will very quickly see that we skip about half the teams in the league because I don't know any team that starts with a W being different from any other team that starts with a W. Get very confused by that letter. And anybody outside the Big Six, I just don't care about. Like,
I am going to make a concerted effort this year to make sure you talk more about those other teams.
All right, by all means. I'm always happy to go on sidetracks, but I'm as host for when we talk about the soccer parts, I'm not going to willingly take us to like a half-hour discussion about Watford's midfield. You know what I mean? Like,
doesn't have to be half an hour, mate. Doesn't have to be.
We can't have any conversations.
Not everything
hour.
has to have a fucking 3-part series.
Okay. Spurs though. Spurs finishing 7th. Again, I just wrote down their rankings because we don't need to spend that much on Spurs, I don't think. 10th place on expected points, 9th place on expected goals, 11th place on expected goals allowed. So decidedly around 10th. And for the back half of the season, that did not change. They were 11th place on expected points in the back half, 8th on expected goals, and a whopping 16th on expected goals allowed in the back half of the season. Chuck, for the record, that is worse than Palace.
Thank you. That's all I needed. Jose Mourinho, 20 million quid. Boo, see you later. Bye.
Yeah, except it didn't change when he left. That back half of the season was even worse.
Well, no, because they had...
They had the dog mayor.
Yeah, exactly. the dog mayor in charge. They got the fucking caretaker, didn't they? So we've got no... I think they're very hard to judge. It'll be a interesting thing to see them under their absolute definite first choice coach, Nuno.
He's good. He's good. He might make them better.
But he was behind Nagelsmann, Rodgers, Gattuso, fucking Lopetegui. How many more people did they fucking go through?
He's seemingly about 8th on the genuine candidate list, and he only went to Spurs after Palace had rejected him.
Oof.
Like, I know. It's a huge rebuild there that needs to happen.
Well, we talk about a rebuild. First, they have to make the money. Let's talk about the Kane situation. He's on fucking strike right now. Have we not made jokes about this so far?
Well, yeah.
I don't know if he is, but I don't believe Sky Sports with a lot of stuff. I just don't think he's that person. I think Daniel Levy is like, it's well known that he's not a nice person and could potentially, elicit these kind of reactions. But for Kane to them not know that Tottenham to think he's going to turn up and for him not to 2 days in a row. I don't know. I feel like it's just we gave it to the end of the week because of something. Yeah, and I just think they let the media circus run away with itself and do whatever. I don't know, because he's got 3 years left on the contract. Like,
yeah, but that bid came in. Like, that City are sniffing around, and City have enough money that it's at a certain point Spurs are not going to be able to turn down X amount for Harry Kane. You know what I mean? Like, if City want him, I can't see them not getting him.
I agree. I think if City want him and Kane wants to go, it will happen. But it will happen for a huge, huge amount of money because there's 3 years left on his contract. And fuck the gentleman's agreement. You signed a contract. It's ridiculous. I find all talk of gentleman's agreement, blah, blah, blah. It is utterly
You're going to get
ridiculous.
stung. You're going to get absolutely stung with a handshake and a...
Yeah, fuck
Thank
that.
you very much. You get that in writing.
Your contract says that you're playing at Spurs for another 3 years, so they are going to get a fuck ton of money for you, or they're not going to let you go. It's as simple as that, and they won't pay you if you don't turn up for training and don't play. I don't think any of that's going to happen. I think the deal will go through, and it will be very good for Tottenham money-wise, especially because they've got a new stadium to pay off.
Will it, though? Because we saw how that went when they sold Modric and Bale. They already made the biggest transfer in the world income once. Like, they broke the transfer record when they sold Bale, and they turned it into Fernando Llorente? Question mark?
Paulinho.
Excuse me. Paulinho, Christian Eriksen, Roberto Soldado, Eric Lamela, Vlad Kirikesh, and there's one more.
It was up and down. Let's just say it was up and down.
At least one of those players is good.
6 players.
One for 6 hit rate. Yeah, that'll go well this summer when they make a ton of money for Kane. I'm sure they'll invest it wisely.
But here's... I think it's easy to wind up, but I've been trying to think about this and actually logically, like... Because it's how long can a player actually go on strike to try and push for this? Because I don't know what Tottenham's ideal figure they would get is 150 million. Like, So you're planning on keeping Harry Kane for 3 years, no matter what, which would then imply that at the end of the 3 years, when he's, 31, he would then leave and go to another club. Are Spurs going to win anything in the next 3 years with Harry Kane?
No.
Probably not.
No.
But are they also going to win anything and be able to replace him with the 150 million? Do you see what I mean? Like, if Spurs got the 150 million, yeah. So it's a real,
that shouldn't factor in because they're not going to win anything no matter what. There is no world where of course they're going to win the league this year now because I said it, but like...
But do you look at trying the next 3 years with Kane or looking at year 3, year 4, year 5 potentially with the money from Kane? You know, we've talked before for me, that's where it seems like.
Yeah, potentially now's the time to get rid of him.
Of course it is. He's had fucking 17 ankle surgeries. He's always hurt. He's 29, which is exactly when you want to sell someone because that's the peak of their transfer market value. They're so dumb for saying no to the 100 million. It's fucking crazy.
Yeah, but I'm not sure they are because they're in a strong position contractually. They're in a strong position.
I think they're smart because I think they can get at least another 30 million on top.
Man City are one of the only clubs in the world that this COVID thing probably hasn't significantly hit them.
Yeah, because they're owned by an oil state.
Exactly. Well,
And FFP, not that it mattered anyway, has been relaxed this year.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. So I don't think it's necessarily the worst thing in the world to just play hardball for a little while and know that you're ultimately going to lose him, but you might be able to drive him up another 50 million.
And there's absolutely no way they sell him to City when their first game of the season is City. The transfer window is until the 31st of August. They do not sell him before that.
No. He's not playing game week 1 against City.
No way. And you can't write into a transfer contract like the same as loan agreements that they can't play against their former club.
Just have a gentleman's agreement about it, I imagine.
And then he knee slides in front of him, does a fucking Adebayor. Fuck him!
Full length of the pitch.
All right, so would you sell Harry Kane and try to rebuild, or would you fight to hold on, Chuck?
Hell, if I sold Harry Kane, I'd be off in the fucking Bahamas. I wouldn't give a shit.
If you were Spurs, let's say.
I would, but I'm not Daniel Levy. Daniel Levy is a different fucking level, and it's the reason he's at that level is because of the way he does things. And potentially, if he's going to do something then out of spite, and like they could stick to his guns and just say, "Well, you're not playing for a year," and it's like, right, well then you're just losing. Like not only are you paying his wages, you're losing like 40, 50 million off of his transfer fee. You could ask, and it's only going down and down at rapid amounts. Like if you get, especially because in 2 years he could leave on a free.
God, I hope they play chicken and then lose. And then City just go sign someone else instead.
Like, do you want to be Arsenal? Is the question Tottenham fans have got to ask themselves. Do you want to be Arsenal and see your great, great assets that you've paid a fuckload of money for potentially leaving on a free transfer in 2 seasons? Like, literally, World Cup, potentially Kane gets an injury because it's in Qatar in the middle of a fucking season, out for the rest of the year, can then go for free. Like, you telling me City wouldn't just go, okay, we'll just come back in now and we'll just pay you whatever you want and you'll come to us. Like, teams like that aren't going to stop sniffing around him. It's just not going to happen. So I think it will be this year.
I agree. And then I'll throw one last question then to Ian. Do you think that they have any fucking chance, and you can judge any chance however you want, Ian, interpret that word as you will, of finishing top 4?
No, I feel like the gap is too much between them, Arsenal, Leicester, and your Man United, Chelsea, Liverpool, Man City. I just feel like there is a bit of a gulf opening up there.
All right, so where do you have them then in your Predictor League?
Well, I do have them 5th, and the more we talk, the stupider that seems.
Ian.
Yeah, I don't know. Maybe I was just led by the fact that they're a big club traditionally. Dele Alli's back, maybe.
Yeah, he could be a game changer. No, genuinely, he's a great player, and Mourinho didn't get shit out of him. But
I thought it was very strange what happened under Jose. So yeah, I've got them 5th in the Predictor League. Let's stick with it because Kane saga aside.
Kane saga aside, like everything coming out of Tottenham seems to be good vibes. Like they're enjoying it.
And they have good players. They have good young players.
And they do have good players. And Nuno, he built good things at Wolves. Part of the reason why he didn't Palace didn't take him was because of all the extra people that came with him, all the backroom staff and all that, all the fees and everything like that was huge. And it was just too big of a team, like a squad like, a club like ours. We just couldn't afford it. It doesn't make financial sense. And so if Tottenham are going to do that and going to install as many people everywhere to try and cleanse out the Jose, that's something to be said. But then they're also the club that hired Jose at that point, which everyone knew was only ever going to end one way. So, I think it's interesting. I have them probably at the upper limits of where they can be as 6th.
I'm obviously going to be lower on them than you guys, so I have them 9th. But
yeah, of course you are. And they have the Europa Conference League. So,
I forgot that's a thing, because we need a third tier of European companies. I mean, whatever. You know what? The mid-table clubs can make some money and go on tour. Like, good for Tottenham. Go ahead.
I mean, it's not though, is it? Because it's just extra fixtures.
Yep. Yeah. No, it's hilarious. All right, well, let's just go to the other shitty team from North London, and that is Arsenal. Arsenal finishing 8th place last season, 8th unexpected, 11th unexpected goals, 5th unexpected goals allowed. Surprisingly, a good defense for Arsenal. And then looking at the back half of the season, exactly the same. 8th unexpected points, 13th unexpected goals, and 5th unexpected goals allowed. So their big problem, obviously, is their goals, their scoring. That might have something to do with Aubameyang and what's the other one? Lacazette being a combined age of 758, I believe. They're older than Ian at this point. Very, very, very hard times for them. Are Arsenal going to move up from 8th place, or are they still going to be like at the very bottom of the big teams, quote unquote?
Oh boy, cover your ears, Adam. I have them in 9th.
There you go.
Okay.
They're about to lose Lacazette on a free again. So another player for Arsenal.
Wait, so does that move them up or down? I don't know, actually.
I don't know. There's the rebuild, question mark, Arteta.
They have a young player that I like. His name is Saka. He's good. I tried to get him for my Fantrax team.
Bukayo Saka and Emil Smith-Rowe as well, when they actually played together last year, I was very, very impressed with how they play, if that's how they are going to be going forward. Those players changing their shirt numbers as well to first team numbers. I think maybe Saka was 7 anyway, but they've given Smith-Rowe the number 10, which is a fairly big statement.
Yeah, sure.
But also they're giving Granit Xhaka a new deal. So
it's Arsenal.
Swings and roundabouts, isn't it? Swings and roundabouts.
Yeah. All right, so Chuck has them in 9th. Ian, where do you have Arsenal?
I've got them in 7th. It's another one where I'm having this conversation and immediately regretting. But yeah, I've got them in 7th. I obviously have some like latent old big club bias that I've got to get rid of.
Yeah, because you're old. Because you're an old man.
Yeah, no, I fully accept that's why. Yeah.
Hold your horses, saying you've got Arsenal in 7th and too high, Ian.
Yeah, because I have them 6th.
Okay.
Yeah, I think their defense. I think their defense in this coming season. I think because of COVID and fitness levels and constant injuries to muscles, because these guys have been running nonstop for 2 years, I think that defense is going to be one of the more important things that will determine success this season. And they had a really good defense. They had a fifth best defense last season, and there's no reason to think it's going to be worse. So,
spending 50 million on a Brighton defender, that's going to definitely help your defense, isn't it?
Oh, of course, yeah. But also they've got, and this is genuine, they've got no European football. So that is actually a big deal.
I like you went, these are genuine. Like, yeah, this is a fact.
Well,
Arsenal haven't been good for a while.
Is that, obviously teams are going for European football, but as we've said, it's 18 extra games Spurs have got that Arsenal haven't.
Yeah, that's a lot, man. That's a lot of minutes on those legs.
Exactly. It is. And I think that's something that's in Arsenal's favour. I do think that we've got, though, a few managers, of which Arteta is one, where
they're bad?
I feel like,
yes.
Possibly, yeah. I feel like it's this season is possibly it for them if they don't perform. Because Arteta's been there a little while now, and we haven't seen any improvement. I think, who are you looking at? Arteta, Potter, I think, for Brighton. If Brighton don't do something else, there's only so much his reputation's going to, keep him going for. And Hasenhüttl for Southampton as well. I think that you've got 3 managers there that if they don't have a good season, they're done, because it's like, how many chances do you need, I just think Arteta's... he's too cute for his own good sometimes with what he tries to do, and I think
he is very handsome, very cute, very, very, very handsome man.
Don't forget he invented COVID though. That's a big deal. He brought down the league.
His biggest impact on the Premier League last year was
catching
COVID.
one of the first to catch COVID. Fucking hipster before everyone else decides to get it and bring down the league. But I think Arteta's got this season now, and if he can't do something this season, he got there are some. If Partey can stay fit, you've got and Saka,
he's injured already.
Yeah, I know he's injured already. I mean, if you stay fit.
Sorry.
Perfect. So Arsenal.
Yeah, exactly. This is Arsenal who signed someone with a broken back. Yeah. Anyway, if they can keep people fit, and then there's no excuse. They've got no European football. If they don't kick on, then I think you've got to look at Arteta's position this year.
Yeah, there was that summer where like everybody just couldn't get managers, so they signed their old club legends who were young managers. Yeah. Like we had Lampard. I think that's the same summer that Man United signed Ole and Arsenal signed Arteta.
Yeah.
And I think that we obviously got rid of Lampard already. I don't think that either of those two managers should still be at their clubs also. I think both of those clubs have had enough time to find someone that's like genuinely elite. But whatever. Yeah. Fuck them. It's Arsenal. I don't care. Chuck, I won't read out Palace's expected points and expected numbers out of kindness.
No, out of fairness and openness, I think you should.
Okay, well, let's briefly
I'll sit here
on,
and take the minutes. I know.
Yeah, I know you know. We're probably looking at the exact same shared document of notes. But Palace, Chuck's beloved Crystal Palace, finishing 14th in a relegation scrap on 18th expected points, 18th on expected goals, 17th on expected goals allowed. And for the back half of the season, that was actually significantly worse. They were 19th on expected points for the back half of the season, 19th on expected goals for the back half of the season, and 14th, better than Spurs, on expected goals allowed for the back half of the season. The big thing, though, is that you guys got rid of your manager and are actually signing fucking players for once.
Praise be to all the old gods and the new that Roy Hodgson is gone. I'm so happy. I just want to enjoy supporting a football club and watching a football club as opposed to enduring it. I think that's the main thing. We had the oldest average age of any team in the Premier League last year at like 29.2 years for the
Which
ones
honestly,
who
I'm surprised
played.
it wasn't over 30.
Yeah. We were tapping up Ian to play at centre back at one point. But now, we've cleared out so many players. Everyone was going on about, Palace got all these players, blah, 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 blah. Bang. We've signed Young Player of the Year from the Championship. We've signed Joachim Andersen, who was amazing for Fulham last year. We've signed Mark Gurhey from Chelsea, who was arguably the best defender in the Championship last year. We've signed Conor Gallagher on loan.
Also from Chelsea.
Also from Chelsea, because Chelsea is selling all of their young players this year to everyone because they need to clear it out because they can't loan so many anymore.
That's right.
Who was great in the centre of midfield with West Brom. And we've just improved on those positions. Vieira's come in, who, you know what, I wasn't 100% happy, but I think it's just comparatively. We became incredibly close to having Lucien Favre as the manager, which would have been unbelievable. And hundreds and hundreds of Palace fans that I talked to on social media were genuinely properly gutted when he pulled out at the 11th hour, but that's what it is. And I just think there's potential there. He's worked with young players before. He's had a good record of it with when he was at Nice previously. And I just think it had to happen at some time. And it's one of those ones where in a depressed market because of COVID, we haven't spent money for years. I mean, our net spend under Hodgson was negative 14 million or something because of Wan-Bissaka's sale. And now we're the third highest spenders in the league for this season. So it's, as everyone else is contracting, we're kind of expanding and doing exactly what we kind of needed to do. So it's exciting times. I'm enjoying it.
It's a good time to be a buying club, I will say, because everybody's short on cash. So if you have anything set aside, like Chelsea last summer, the transfer window where we signed all those fucking guys was already well into the middle of the pandemic, and no one was buying, so we got a bunch of guys for pretty cheap, relatively speaking. Obviously it's still many, many, many millions of pounds, but everybody's looking for cash. So if you have cash to give out, people will give you their good players. Like, it is very much a buyer's market right now, and I think Palace are taking advantage of that beautifully.
And I think we're doing it early as well, comparatively to any other clubs. You know, when we were doing the top 6 rundowns, and you know, Oscar, you asked about transfers, and we were looking at those kind of things. That, like, Man United's the only one who've really signed anyone. I mean, Tottenham now is kind of coming through with Christian Romero, the centre back from Atalanta, which probably should have mentioned earlier, but never mind, Jeff. And signing Brian Hill, however you pronounce it. You know, but otherwise, a lot of the teams down there are kind of adding to the squads gradually. But whereas in that position, we're the kind of big spenders, which it's no guarantee for success. But it's really nice to see, especially after Hodgson, who would reject everyone. It's reported that it was like very, very difficult for the director of football and the owners to convince him of certain players that he would just outright reject. And then everything would also be really, really late. Whereas now it's kind of going early and have some time. Vieira's running like double training sessions each day. The first team are fully, like, the under 23s and under 18s, like, everyone is fully together, and has been for, like, since he's got there, which is really, really nice to see, especially because we've got some really promising people coming through, which will be supplemented by the boost to the academy. And it is just, like we said before with Tottenham and good vibes, like, everyone there's happy. Like, the players are coming out and saying it's such a breath of fresh air. It's, you know, we're being pushed and it's great, and they're happy, which you wouldn't really see under Hodgson. You know, we saw with last year with Leeds, like, they were talented, but also they were the fittest club. And as much as we said about Bielsa burnout, like, they didn't burn out because they were burning other teams out and scoring late and doing well. And so if you can have that this season and try to replicate that with a younger squad, a fitter squad, a broader squad that can actually play in those games, that's the key. The main, just to kind of close off what I want to say anyway about Palace, and especially when people wind up about all the contracts we lost, etc., etc. I got this from the Price of Football, I think, on Twitter, which is run by a guy who looks at a lot of the finances and analytics. And the players that Palace lost on free agencies, obviously some aren't resolved yet, they made up 43% of the club's wage bill last year.
Blimey.
And they played in 34% of the games. So, like, people talk about the huge impact losing those players would make. No, that's literally the smartest
money to be able,
smartest money Palace could have spent.
Yeah,
I think so.
So talk to me about impact then, because in my first Predictor League draft, I had them at 19th because they were expected 19th pretty much on everything last season. But the only reason you would think to change those projections is when something radically changes inside the club. And I think all of those signings and a new manager is the case for things are going to change. Is that change going to be enough to get you guys out of the relegation scrap? Are you, like, comfortably finishing mid-table this season? Like, where are you at in terms of then? Where do you have them in your Predictor League, for example?
So, I mean, mine's obviously always going to be buoyed a bit, but I have them 12th just because of we know how that range of teams can be. I can see arguments for pretty much anywhere in the bottom half of the table. I can, because we've seen teams where big change has worked and we've seen teams where big change has not worked. The last time, albeit this is different, but the last time we tried it with Frank de Boer, but to be fair, we didn't really back in with investment. Like, after 4 games of not scoring a goal, gone. Like, that's it, see you later. And then we had, nigh on 4 seasons of Hodgson off the back of that. And so my concern would only be, especially given our fixtures for the first 10 games, that people will just write us off. And it's whether we could then recover from that. I always like being the underdog. Palace fans love it. We love being written off. That's when we thrive. That's when we do our best work. We break teams on the counter. We absolutely love when teams are pressuring us and we get a smash and grab. It's a rocky roller coaster, but for the highs, you take the lows. So I can see why people would think potentially 19th up to where I have about 12th. I would say maybe sometimes that's when people do put Palace lower, that's looking at them in isolation. I think there's also, I could see a justification why you think Watford, Newcastle, Brentford, Burnley, Southampton, potentially Brighton and Palace can all finish in that tier. Teams like Norwich, I think Norwich will really struggle to do anything. Brentford could finish 20th and the experiment doesn't work, or we could potentially have another Leeds on our hands, or another Wolves, or Sheffield United, or, it could be in that vein. The last 3 seasons haven't been the norm with promoted teams.
Yeah,
they
no,
really
but
haven't.
Brentford aren't the norm either. They are like Moneyball FC, Analytics FC, like they play very radically different soccer than everybody else. So
Exactly, but I think there's enough, Ian, you mentioned before about Hassan Hutel and potentially being in trouble. Like, Southampton haven't necessarily done anything great, and Danny Ings is edging for a move straight away. He has a couple of seasons off injuries, which is mad because, he went to Liverpool, it didn't work. So I don't understand where he's going to go.
I don't know where he wants to go. Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
But yeah, I think there's enough teams in there that can cause the same, and maybe the unknown element of it. People saying, Watford hardly conceded any goals in the Championship. Yeah, it's the Championship.
Yeah.
Middlesbrough were like the tightest defence in the Championship like that had ever been for years, and they went straight back down because they were awful, because they didn't keep clean sheets and they didn't score goals. Like, there's arguments in there for any team, and so, but that's part and parcel of it. It's a year where 17th and up is fine. Of course it is. It always is. But this year, especially for the first year, I just really, really, really have loved the way the club has taken this, the way the club has done the change, that we've signed Players of the Year. We've taken consecutive from the Championship Players of the Year in Eze, Elise. It's fantastic. And it especially with all this noise about Kane, there's no Zaha leaving shit.
Yeah, very quiet.
Yeah, that's true.
Which is another win for us. I'm sure it will come round. And, Benteke is going to win the Golden Boot. So
there we go.
You did at times, we'll wrap up the discussion right here. You did at times, in the height of the Hodgson dark days and the boring and the everything else last year, say repeatedly that you would rather watch an entertaining team go down swinging and fail and lose, etc., than watch any more of this Hodgson boring bullshit. You even tuned out of some matches last season, which is like very out of character for you. Can we get an update on that sentiment going into the season with an attacking type manager who's going to go out swinging and maybe go up, maybe stay up, maybe fail? How do you feel?
Yeah, I think the same, and I will maintain that, because I think our season starts properly in about the 11th game week or so.
Yeah,
if
you guys have a brutal start.
If we can start game week 11 with double-digit points, that's a great result. Absolutely great, because it means we've won the games we had to win and we've nicked a couple of points here and there potentially. With the players we've signed, all 3 of them are on 5-year contracts. So if we go down, they either stay or we get really good money with them. We've invested 50 million into the academy. We reside in the biggest catchment area for talent, one of the biggest areas in the world, potentially behind Paris, for top quality talent
it's
coming
insane
through.
At the minute, the youth talent coming out of South London is absolutely insane. Yeah,
right throughout the world of football, and so I don't worry for us as much this year going down as last year.
Okay, perfect.
Cool.
Because if the rebuild happens in the Premier League, it's a lot easier to recover from and consolidate for me than if the rebuild happens in the Championship.
All right, perfect. Any word on the promoted clubs? I'm not going to touch on like your Wolves, your Leeds, your Evertons, any of that. But any word on the promoted clubs? I don't know shit about them other than Brentford are, the first team to really get into analytics. Like,
can you name all 3 of the promoted clubs without looking?
I'm not. They're on my screen, but I promise I'm not looking. I know Brentford because I just said it. There's Watford are back.
Oh, blimey. I didn't think you'd get that one.
And Norwich,
not beginning with a W.
Norwich. Or were they still up last year?
No, that's right.
Oh, okay.
Norwich,
I usually remember by like, have I come up with a bullshit fake pronunciation for them? And I already had Norwich ready to go. So I was like, no, maybe they were already
up.
up.
The problem is we've been doing this 3 seasons now. So
I know, we've been a podcast long enough that they came back up, and now I have like, so how should I say Brentford? I would say Brentford, I guess. And Watford. Yeah, sure. Good enough. Tell me about the promoted teams. I don't know shit about them. I know a little bit about Brentford, but like, what's the deal?
I can't admit to knowing much about what Watford are like now. It would be interesting to see if they are just a bunch of horrible shithouses like they always have been, a disgusting team that are just violent and abusive, and Troy Deeney is just awful.
They're on their third manager already, I do know that.
Well, I looked at who their manager was today, but I just don't think it's worth it. Because it'll be gone in like a month.
He turned around in the Championship, but we all know lose the first 5 games and he's gone. It doesn't
exactly.
matter, does it?
They fired a manager in between. They got promoted, fired the manager, got a new one, fired the other manager. Season started before. Like, they've done that. So
they'll be on their 5th
attached.
manager of the season by the time a game kicks off. Like,
yeah, exactly. So Cisco, though, his name is Cisco.
It is, yeah.
We'll just have the thong song in our heads every time we see him play now. But
very good.
Yeah, they have, in the game of FPL, they have 13 forwards.
Oh, shit.
They are building a big squad. That's clearly their approach to COVID. So potentially they are going to heavily rotate all of their players. Was it them that signed Josh King? He was at Bournemouth and he went to Everton. And then Everton, he has gone to Watford. Yay!
There you
What a
go.
guy. They also have Ismail Assar.
He's good.
Obviously, and managed to keep him from going down, which is quite a big coup for them. So he had great attacking numbers in the Championship. Norwich, very much a similar team as went down, apart from Buendia and Ben Godfrey. But Ben Godfrey went to Everton when he went. So they've still got Max Aarons as a right back. Now my cock on the block there.
A couple of different centre-backs from when they were up last time that might help them out. But, I think they'll scrape it, to be honest. I think they'll finish 17th.
I put Norwich in 17th, and after I put, even when I'm the one that fills out the spreadsheet, I don't like changing it afterwards. I just for fairness, even though I can't win. And I looked at it afterwards, I went, that's just stupid. I mean, I've got him 17th, you've got him 17th, Oscar's got him 19th.
I think losing Buendia is a huge deal. I think he's one of the best players in the league.
That is true. I mean, he's so creative, yeah. His
underlying numbers in every fucking category for creativity and expected assists and shots are phenomenal. Dude is so good. So that's gonna fuck them completely. I don't see them staying up.
But, promoted teams, Ian, you and I both have Brentford and Watford getting relegated, and Oscar, you have Norwich getting relegated. So we're not exactly high on them.
No. Yeah, that's wishful thinking for Brentford in my case. I have them 16th, but they'll probably not stay up. Statistically, it's likely.
I just think it's a defensive thing for them. I think they'll score goals, but
it's how much of a reach is the analytics and the overperformance. It still took them 3 attempts with that to get out of the Championship. Fell at the playoffs last year, I believe, to Cardiff. Fulham beat them, knocked them out of the playoffs year before, and this year they beat Swansea in the final to come through. So it's how much of a stretch.
Yeah, this is the stretch. Them making the Premier League is the stretch. They're by far the smallest club that's been in the Prem in a long time.
No, they're bright. They're Bournemouth levels, I'd say. Their stadium's about the same size.
I'd say Bournemouth probably they've got a new stadium and
they have a new stadium. Okay.
They're happy to invest. That's the thing. So,
new stadium that was, it's a brand new stadium, but it's 17,500. It's Griffin Park that they had before was 15. So I see them in that mark, but it's an interesting, it's a new thing, and especially when we go on about these stats quite a lot, it's an experiment of seeing how they do.
For those people wondering why we keep calling them Analytics FC, basically they were one of the first soccer teams in the world to take a Moneyball approach. They hired some mathematicians when they were down in the 3rd tier.
Oh, the guy who owns the club, basically, he discovered something with football betting, made an outrageously large amount of money on it, then went, how can I apply this? Bought a club and then used the same logics to investing in players, building teams, all that kind of jazz.
Yep, and the people that built that analytics department from scratch, the guy who was the one person in the department and then it got bigger and bigger, went on to found StatsBomb, which is the best sort of privately non-club related analytics organization in the world by far. So they know what they're doing at Brentford. So is that stretch enough to keep them up, or was the limit of the stretch to get them up? Will be the thing. But they must be protected at all costs. We love you, Brentford. We love you.
Indeed. Well then, does that sort of round up our football chat?
That sounds about right.
newly promoted teams, yeah.
Of course. And whilst we're on the subject of new teams, old teams, changes in the league, let's bring a new one to the podcast again. Because, gentlemen, I've prepared a quiz.
Oh.
A quiz?
So, it's time for...
What is it?
Quiz!
Hey, very good. For
Played
those of you
live.
that were wondering, he was very clearly playing like a child's piano that also spells out letters and I think had a cat on it.
It is a Baby Shark toy iPad.
Okay, all right. And you spelled out
this
quiz?
year-
Is that what you were spelling out?
This year, yes, exactly. Run it back.
good.
This year, the medium of jingles will be done through child's toys. Right, play along at home. Fucking hell, that was tedious.
You're so
I
proud
have
of yourself.
created
right
a
now.
quiz for you guys. I wrote that 10 seconds before we started.
You wrote
It
that.
shows.
Wrote. Right, get a pen and paper, play along at home if you will. Gentlemen, the 3 promoted teams that have just come up from the Championship.
I know them.
Good. So there are 6 points on offer here. I would like you to name the stadiums or stadia at which they play and the nicknames of those teams. There is an extra point. I say bonus point, but you can get it anyway. If you can tell me the highest expected points total of the 3.
Last season?
Well, not this year.
Well, yeah, okay.
Like what they were expected to get last year when they were in the Championship.
What were the 3 again? I guessed.
Okay, so I should mention as well, because obviously we'll just edit out the silence as these lot write, that pause if you're playing along at home, but don't take too fucking long, for God's sake. So this one's for Oscar. We just spoke about the 3 teams that came into the league,
Yes.
but the 3 teams we lost, what stadiums do they play at, and what are their nicknames?
3 teams we lost. Fuck. We did a whole season of a podcast about this.
Bonus point for which team got the lowest expected points out of these 3.
Oh, God. If I can't name a single team that went down, that's so embarrassing.
And what's so funny is if you do, that still isn't an answer.
What do you mean?
Well,
Yeah.
the question is
need
what
the
stadiums, what stadia do they play at,
fucking A. Okay.
and what are their nicknames?
I don't know
Same question.
stadiums.
Same as question 1.
Okay. Oh, wait, no. I know at least one of them.
Okay, question the 3rd. Apart from the promoted sides, obviously, there are 4 new managers-ish who have come into the league, or 4 managers, shall we say, that have a new team in the league. Can you name those 4 managers? Question 4. FPL Analytics and Jeff Pedder darling Ivan Benjamin Elijah Tony
Yes.
of Brentford finished the Championship last year as the Golden Boot winner. But how many total goal involvements, that is goals plus assists, did Ivan Toney have in the Championship last year? Closest gets it. Question 5. A very rare transfer happened in the Premier League, which was actually a player swap plus money. We don't see many of them these days. And it was for Tottenham. But can you tell me which 2 players swapped clubs? And a bonus point, and again it will be the closest, what was the fee as well? So a player plus cash for another player at Spurs. What we saying? 1 point for each. 6th question. Zambian striker extraordinaire Patson Daka. He joined Leicester, of course, for some money. Didn't bother looking it up. But which club did he join for? And how many league goals did he score last season?
Oh, last season. Fuck.
I know Ian gave the stat of 2
2
seasons.
yeah. I did.
So if you can remember that,
I don't remember that.
then
Okay.
get it roughly half, you're probably close. Question the 7th. Centre-back all-round extraordinaire defender Benjamin White left the mighty unlucky shit Brighton for Arsenal Football Club for £50 million this year as they look to re-strengthen their defence after the sad departure of pod darling Shkodran Mustafi back in January. But how much money did Arsenal waste on Shkodran Mustafi back in 2016?
How much money did Arsenal waste?
On the transfer fee, the reported transfer fee for Shkodran Mustafi after, again, he left on a free. Which was probably the best business they could have done. Closest gets it. Question 8. Crystal Palace signed last season's Championship Young Player of the Year, Michael Olise. But where was he signed from and how much did Palace spend? What is the reported transfer fee? Again, the fee is closest.
It's a guess. Oh, too much guesswork. I should know more.
Question 9. Aston Villa signed last season's Championship Player of the Year, Emi Buendia. But where was he signed from and what was the reported fee? And question 10, the finals of the questions. Which former Manchester United and England player has rejoined Aston Villa on a free transfer via Inter Milan?
I don't know how to spell his name, and I'm also almost certainly wrong, but I immediately thought of a name, so...
If you don't know how to spell his name, you definitely got the wrong player.
Well, I wrote down what I wrote down, so...
It is what it is.
That bodes well.
Okay, so first question, we had the 3 promoted teams. That was, of course, Brentford, Watford and Norwich. Ian, can you give me the answers, please, for stadia and nicknames?
So, Brentford are the Bees.
Correct. Ding. 1 point for Bees.
But, okay, little tick. But all I could remember was Griffin Park. I know they're in a new stadium, so I presume it's different.
It is not Griffin Park. Oscar, did you get Bees or...
No, I said Carrow Road and the Griffins because of Griffin Park.
-2. It is the Brentford Community Stadium. Guys, really easy. Come on.
Oh, there you go.
And the Bees. So 1 point for Bees. What did you have for Watford, Oscar?
I had Carrow Road and the Hornets.
he just hit every fucking one with Carrow Road.
1 point for Hornets.
Yay!
Ian, did you get a different stadium?
The Hornets and Vicarage Road.
Ding, ding.
Road.
2 points for Ian with Vicarage
The
Road.
frustrating thing with the fucking stadiums is that the moment you say them, I'm like, oh yeah, I know that. But like,
Yeah,
ask me, and I'm like,
it's annoying.
where does anyone play?
Oscar, did you have Carrow Road for Norwich?
I did have Carrow Road for Norwich. Very good.
Okay, 1 point. And the nickname of the team?
The Canaries?
Canaries,
Yay.
2 points. Tush, tush, tush. So I make that 5-3 at the minute. I won't be able to keep this up. The relegated teams. Oscar, can you name the
Didn't
3
we ever say
relegated
the
teams?
most,
Our bonus point for...
Oh, bonus. Yes, of course. Who had the highest expected points?
I said Watford.
I said Norwich. I just assumed that the...
Both wrong. Brentford.
Fuck.
Brentford
Okay.
had the highest expected points, and they finished in 3rd. Went up through the playoffs. 3 relegated teams. Oscar, can you name the 3 relegated teams?
I can name 2 of them. This is how much, new listeners, I do not pay attention below 10th place. I don't fucking care.
We had Fulham, Sheffield United, and West Bromwich Albion.
Sheffield went down last year, of course.
I'm just going to let Ian rattle these off because I'm hoping he knows them all.
Okay, so Sheffield United, I've got Blades and Bramall Lane.
Tick, tick.
0 points there.
West Brom, I've got Baggies and the Hawthorns.
Ding, ding.
Okay, I said the West Brom Arena and the Albion, which is not wrong.
Right. Half a point. Because I know giving you half a point will hurt more than it helps.
Yes.
Such a pity.
Yeah.
Fulham?
Fulham, I totally spaced on the nickname, but Craven Cottage, but I totally spaced on the nickname.
I got Craven Cottage, and I said the Fullers.
The Fullers, no. So, because I'm not 100% sure on this either, so you could have had the Cottagers or the Whites.
The Cottagers,
I
I
thought the Whites, but I was like, that's probably wrong. Damn it.
It probably should be, but anyway. And who had the lowest expected points?
Fulham.
Sheffield.
Again, you're both wrong. West Brom.
West Brom.
Fulham were the only team that got relegated that didn't deserve to.
There you go.
They were, I believe, they were 16th. Unexpected, above Burnley and Crystal Palace, who were both on 38.
And a live Peterborough update, we've just conceded to Kings Lynn in a friendly. So.
For fuck's sake.
The mighty Kings Lynn, who are an English team.
Correct.
I mean, yes, let's say yes, because I don't know what level they play at.
You've never heard of them. Gee.
They're sort of subterranean levels of the pyramid.
It really deserves to be 25 levels, guys. It really deserves to be that big of a pyramid. It's great. It's great for everyone.
Everyone gets a go. It's great. Everyone gets a go. Everyone gets a fucking go. All right.
Let's go to the managers.
4 managers. Oscar.
I got Nuno, Vieira, and Rafa.
Nuno, Vieira, Rafa. So I'm assuming Ian has who replaced Nuno at Wolves.
I don't know.
Okay, so Ian, do you have those 3?
Yeah.
Okay, so we had those 3. Patrick Vieira at Crystal Palace. Nuno Espirito Santo. I love that his name's Holy Ghost. It's so fucking good. At Tottenham, Rafa obviously took over Ancelotti. We'll mention that, but in another pod probably, because fuck being an Everton fan, that's gutting. And Bruno Lage has taken over at Wolves, continuing on the Portuguese connection.
Of course.
And signing Portuguese players. Shock. Ivan Toney, how many goal involvements? Give me a number, yo.
Ian, you want to go first? He's your posh boy, so.
I've got 45. I know he scored 30 plus goals and was all about the assists as well.
Oh, I'm way off then. I said 35.
45 and 35, so you are 6 and 4 away. It is 41. 31 goals. 31 goals and 10 assists. Point to the Stimson. The Spurs swap. Now, Ian, you weren't so sure on this.
I've got nothing.
I did mention it. Literally mentioned it in the pod. Yeah. Oscar?
I said Harry Kane in exchange for Joe Hart and $1.
No. R.I.P. Joe Hart as well. R.I.P. for Joe Hart as well, signing for Celtic. Today, we hardly knew you. No, Eric Lamela and Brian Gil swapped clubs, I believe Valencia, Sevilla, can't remember. But they also paid £21 million for the pleasure of getting rid of Eric Lamela. Patson Daka. Now, Ian, you must be all over this. Come on. Who do you play for? How many goals?
Well, I've got Salzburg. So I've gone 35. 35.
So Salzburg is correct. Oscar, do you have Salzburg?
I do have Salzburg, and I said 25 goals.
Point to Oscar. 27 goals.
Nice. Well done.
In 28 games. So pretty fucking good.
Yeah.
24 in 31 the year before, and the year before that, they had Erling Haaland. So, Ben White, etc., etc. How much did they sign Skodran Mustafi for? Anyone got a ridiculous number they want to go for?
I said 40 million, 40.
I said 20 million.
Point to Oscar, 35.
Oh my God.
£35 million, and there is a brackets there, plus question mark, because we aren't quite sure, but it's over 35 million at least. Oh, bad times.
Football is dead.
I know, right?
Game's gone, mate.
It went long time ago. Ian, where did Michael Elise sign from?
Reading.
Correct. Reading. Oscar and Ian, what is your guess for amount?
I said 10 million.
I said 10 as well.
Oh, point each then. 8 million.
Oh, right. Not bad.
There you go. Although I said Derby. Which one? When is it Derby and when is it Derby? I don't remember.
It's never Derby.
It's Derby if you're in America, and it's America.
Okay. I thought the place was one and the type of game was another. Okay, they're both Derby. Okay,
Derby,
cool.
yeah.
Negative. All Derby all the time. It's only, yeah.
Okay.
And even I would call it the Kentucky Derby. Yeah, I would.
Yeah, definitely.
That makes sense because it is the letter E, and E famously makes an ah sound.
Look, we invented the language, mate. Deal with it. Where did Buendia come from, and how much did he cost?
Norwich City for 20 million.
That's exactly the guess I've got.
Norwich City, 1 point, and obviously you both get a point for that one, even though the answer is 38 million.
38?
Wow. I mean, he's really good, but that's a lot for a championship player. Jeez.
Yeah, but to sell your best player to a potential rival, when you get promoted into the same league as that team.
Yeah, it's got to be a lot of money, yeah.
It's got to be a lot of money.
Villa. I would not... I guess they are losing Grealish. Fuck, Villa might be fucked this year.
It was a very crude way of putting it. No, Villa will still be great.
Fair
They'll
enough.
be absolutely fine.
As long as they can get the mighty Ross Barkley back on loan from Chelsea.
Never going to happen. And finally, which former Manchester United and England player has rejoined Aston Villa on a free transfer via Inter Milan? I gave you lots of clues in there. Used to play for Aston Villa, England, Man United, just come from Inter Milan. Give me a name.
I said Gabby Agbanglahor.
44-year-old Gabby Agbanglahor, who
you never
famously played for Man United.
Did he? I don't know if he did.
Milan.
I just said the one Aston Villa person that came to mind. Who's old.
Okay, I guess I'll go Dion Dublin then. Why not?
And of course, there's the stairs to the bedroom. Ashley Young. Ashley Young has signed on a free for Aston Villa.
Oh, that's not going to matter at all to anybody this season. Interesting.
Not necessarily.
He's literally irrelevant.
Tot up your scores. Give them to me. How did we do?
I think I've got 19.
14.
Ian, play your music.
Oh, yeah, okay. Second run out.
Woo! Congratulations, Ian. Am I the quiz wizard this year? I'll be quiz wizard. Yeah.
Hell yeah. What? So do you want that to be your nickname? Mr. Quiz Wizard Chuck Bailey? Or do you want to be Mr. Iron Man Chuck Bailey? What do you prefer?
I mean, I was fantasy champion for 2 years, and we did do European fantasy, and I won
No
that.
one played that,
beat all the Patreons that did really well last year.
No one played that.
So I'm European fantasy football champion expert.
Champions League.
Mr. 99.3% it is. You had a choice to choose, and now you lost it. So, there you go.
Damn it.
Oh, right. Should we call it a day then?
Yeah, I forgot. I'm the one that normally wraps it up, don't I?
Yeah.
It's been so long.
We're
It's
just
been
sitting here
such a
waiting for
nice...
you to outro us.
It's been the longest outro ever. It included a quiz.
We just quite like to marinate in it
and
just soak it up. It's been our longest break ever, and I'm ready to fucking go. We'll be back later on at some point soon before the start of the season with at least one more pod. I'm not promising any more than that.
FPL special.
You greedy buggers. FPL, something else probably, I guess. And we'll just have a lovely old job. Thank you very much for rejoining us or joining us on this new adventure into a brave new Premier League world. Say goodbye, Oscar.
Goodbye.
Say goodbye, Mr. Ian Stimpson.
Up the posh.
Up the posh. Join us, patreon.com/milesoffsidepod. There's stats, there's slacks, there's everything. Nate Whittam's there. He's a producer and a girlfriend haver. Plus he bought an Xbox. Bye.